Let us discuss passage number 5 of the paper. This passage is followed by 4 questions. It is about India's deep sea fishing sector that has been inactive and in a poor state since the 1990s, as there has not been any favorable policy environment in relation to this. It further tells us that the Murari Committee report in the mid 1990s and the deep sea fishing policy of 2004, based partly on this report, though meant to revive the sector, actually led to its further decline. There was a sharp reduction in the number of large fishing vessels operating under joint ventures as a result of this policy. This left the bulk of the fishing resources of India's vast exclusive economy zone EEZ either unexploited or underexploited. So the author gives us a little information about the Murari Committee report and how this led to further decline in India's deep sea fishing sector. Then he talks about the government's new deep sea policy, fishing policy, based on the recommendations of the Meena Kumari Committee. Now, this has also run into roadblocks due to stiff opposition from traditional fishing communities. So, this new deep fishing policy is also facing opposition from traditional fishing communities. The reason is given in the further few lines. And it is concluded that traditional fishermen fear that such fishing ventures will threaten their livelihood by encroaching into some of the areas which are now within their reach thanks to the availability of improved fishing gears. The Meena Kumari Committee set up by the present government has observed that productivity from the coastal zones has either plateaued or is on the decline due to over-exploitation. There is therefore little scope for raising fish output in waters up to a depth of 200 meters. However, waters beyond a 500-meter depth are not optimally tapped and thus offer considerable scope for augmenting fish output. This zone abounds in a particular kind of species of fish which are in great demand globally. Significantly, this panel has also alluded to the fact that Indian fishing industry is by and large ill-equipped in terms of technology as well as finance to adequately tap these resources. The panel has suggested that the Indian fishing companies should be encouraged to either get a hold of larger and well-equipped fishing ships or form joint ventures with foreign companies. The inadequacy of Indian fishing activity in the EEZ has left the field open for poaching by foreign trawlers. The current growth in the country's overall fish production is thus contributed almost entirely by inland fisheries. So basically what is wrong with the fishing industry is given here, that it is ill-equipped in terms of technology as well as finance. And the solution is also given here, that it should either form joint ventures with foreign companies or get hold of larger and well-equipped fishing ships. Traditional fishermen are also uncomfortable with the Meena Kumari panel's counsel to create a buffer zone between the near-shore and offshore regions to augment resources in the coastal as well as deep sea regions. Though it is still unclear whether the buffer zone will be a no-go area or selective fishing will be allowed, fisher folks generally tend to view it as a denial of their right to operate in these waters. So there is a factor of ambiguity here. This ambiguity needs to be removed, and in general the concerns of traditional communities addressed for early result. What is the most important message conveyed by the passage? The deep fishing sector of India needs a revamp while addressing the disenchantment of the traditional communities. There is a lot of scope of the Indian deep fishing industry to grow globally. A more proactive and thought after approach is required by the current committee in order to remove roadblocks in this industry. or the untapped zones need to be used for meeting the growth of countries' fish production while being saved from foreign trawlers? Well, the most appropriate option here is option A, because it this is the only thing that the main idea of the passage is all conveyed in this option, that the deep fishing sector of India needs a revamp as it is in doldrums, while addressing the disenchantment of the traditional communities who have problems with the new fishing policy. So each idea is conveyed in this option, therefore this is our answer. All these options are quite narrow. There's a lot of scope in for the Indian deep fishing industry to grow globally. This is very narrow. This is not the main idea of the passage. A more proactive and thought after approach is required by the current committee in order to remove roadblocks. Again, this is a very narrow approach. This is not the whole idea of the passage, because it does not talk about the need to revamp the fishing sector, at the same time addressing the disenchantment of the traditional communities. The untapped zones need to be used for meeting the growth of countries' fish production while being saved from foreign trawlers. Well, this again is only talking about a particular aspect of it, so this is not the central idea of the passage. So the answer will be option A. Consider the following statements. Meena Kumari Committee should not allow a buffer zone that is inaccessible to the traditional fisher folks.